What's going on, guys? Here we have our third place winner today. Tell us, what did you play today?
I played a 60 card dragon ruler pile.
Oh, beautiful. As much as we love our rulers.
Only way to play it.
Anyone that we want to shout out today?
Big shout out. So moving forward with this particular local, we're only doing one deck profile every probably about fortnight to a month, just give or take, depends on how popular they are. But main reason for this one, following next week's, a shout out to Mr. Sony P. One of the most no, seriously, cool guy, cool list. He's a cool guy. He responded despite his difference in the growth to his channel than ours. So shout out, man. This deck profile's for you. When I first watched your lists, truthfully, I thought it was mad cope. And I was like, oh my God, there's no way this works. And my homie Lachlan behind the camera can attest to the fact that I tried one of your Fiend Smith like Horus Thunder Bestial piles.
It's absolutely disgusting,
ate like 4 hand traps, and I ended on like Seals Caesar Regained, and he was just like, no, this is it. This guy's the GOAT. All right, so.
Sounds like an average Dragon Link board.
No, but shout out to the boys here at the locals. I think the scene's absolutely awesome right now. See all yous around me. Turn your bloody timer off, mate. Rounds are over. They've been over for 20 minutes.
That's time in the round.
Shout out to the boys at the locals. Shout out to my lovely partner at home, Caitlin. She encourages me to play this game despite how much it aggravates her, and very actively tells me that it makes her reconsider our entire relationship. And shout out to my boy Lachlan behind the camera, right on.
Let's go.
The game of the boys. Kellen Willis over there. What a cool guy. All right.
Let's get into it, mate.
You want to get into the fuel, man?
All right. Show us, what are we working with here?
So one of the main reasons why I love playing the 60 of this deck, one is because you got to play the boys, You got to play every single one of the boys. You have to max out at absolutely 3 of.
And of course you got to max out on the QCRs. What's going on here, mate?
No, mate. Honestly, they're in that deck box right next to you. I'm just waiting on the rest of it to come in the mail, but everything else is it's all on the way. I'll just touch wood next time, hopefully, when I actually win the locals. So shout out to Grayson as well for actually beating me in the mirror with the 40 card. Yeah. He's just a bit crook tonight, so he didn't want to do the deck profile, so I took the place. But yeah, I think you absolutely max out on 3 of these guys. These guys are all great. There's a bit of math behind it, but I personally really like not necessarily maxing out on the babies, because some of the lists I saw early on were very, they'd all play one baby, but they were all like 60 piles, and I was like, there's no way that this doesn't clump. And like the few hands where I saw the babies, they just ate an ash and I lost. I just basically went -2. But when you open up like hands full of babies and like other really primo dragon discards, these cards feel like absolutely like insane comparatively, especially when you're doing a little bit of a solid cost with them.
Your personal favorite, this one, isn't it?
Shout out to Spectral, dude. Spectral is like, I think the boys can attest, like Grayson, both times you and I resolved this card tonight, we were just like, we were just like, yeah, I win immediately, like both times. Against Nick in round 1, I like resolved this, he dropped me, I was like, it's fine, I have everything I need already, and I ended on like Sealed Chaz Mattis, and it just ate the board completely. This card's silly. I think moving forward.
Explain this one, because this one's a bit of a contentious one for you.
This one's for the boy, all right? This one's for the man himself. This card, like thematically, like in theory, like you read it on paper and you're like, wow, that's really good to like play through Nib. But I sort of find that like by the time you sort of reach the end board of like, I'll put it here just for the sort of visual reference, but every time you sort of reach this end board, you're kind of like already fairly insulated from Nib, assuming you don't burn through too much resource. So say they Nib you kind of do this and you special summon another 7 ruler from the deck, and then you just overlay again into your second Chasma, and then basically the entire line's live anyway for the opponent's crackback turn. So I don't know, I sort of feel like, I don't know what it is, man. I feel like he just never really comes up in practice for me. Grayson, did you play this card?
No,
it's really good on paper. I thought in 60 I could get away with it, but every time I saw it, it just felt kind of neg. And like the couple of times I did get nibbed, I just did that other line anyway, and there was a couple of times where I extended into the second 7 anyway through the nib without this thing, so maybe it's worth a bit more testing.
I think a little bit more data in the tank for that one.
A bit more data in the tank. It's a slot. I want to play with it. This
one.
It's crazy.
No one's playing this, right? It's a droll format. I completely understand that, but it's one of those cards where like we talk about this all the time. Call it coat, but like you manifest the droll. But even still, like when these cards do resolve, yes, you can eat a droll, but in tandem you do always get a 7 on the board, and you're usually searching another one of these just to fuel like other dragon plays anyway, and just sort of keeps your hand fairly healthy. Whereas when we're talking about originally with the little baby rulers, they can be really minus. So, and again, I think Stolberg against you, I remember like I resolved the Spectral and I pitched like the 5. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna add the 7. You're like, what does that one do? I'm like, this one adds the 3. And like my hand, I started like a hand of like 5 cards. I put a 7 on the board. This thing can help you like commit into a seal without burning any of your ruler names with like the babies and spectral really early on, and it's just a free 7 body as well, worst case scenario.
Sends for cost, correct?
Yes. Yeah, indeed. I had a really weird instance tonight where this thing actually outed what's it called? It outed, I can't even think of the card right now. It was like 4,300, and I just went this, send the 7, resolve it, add this, and then it was huge, and it just completely ran over it. And even though it locks you into 1 attack for the turn, I found a little spoiler alert for the next engine, but you can still completely FTK your opponent with 1 attack in a turn in this deck with your 3 copies of Mr. Grayson, the Tempai boy.
Let's have a look.
No, we're not even there yet, mate.
It's
this
is painful.
I know.
This card.
I see a lot of lists playing just one of this, but for one, it's searchable off of the Tempest as well. Tempest is pretty insane, but at the same time, this is also like another Wind Dragon for the Pile-Armed, and the reason why I play this over the Sloth is because it's actually a live level 7 or higher dragon to actually resolve the Pile-Armed, which sounds silly, but when you're already playing like a really clunky kind of deck, little tiny instances like that just make all the difference. And you can attest to this as well, lock on in testing. I'll go like Fist Summon, normal this, and you're just like,
Completely checks the Nibiru.
Completely checks the nib, and you're just like, okay, on the following turn, you still have like, your Chasma is basically still live as well, so you can sort of use your Chasma to preemptively kind of revive this or protect it, or it just feels a tiny bit more plus than all the other things that I've seen. This card's
This is where we put the helmet on.
This is where we strap on the helmet.
The glue is huffed and the helmet is on.
Grayson, 100%, mate. I enjoyed huffing glue with you tonight. This was awesome. No, this engine's crazy. Like, comparative to other decks, it feels really, really good. It's a lot more streamlined. Like, I tried other engines in this deck when it first came out, but I sort of found that, like, this little engine of cards were, like, it just felt absolutely insane.
Explain the synergy between the Tempai cards and the rulers.
I think people watching this video at this point will understand this, but in short, the Dora Dora adds your Genroku. You summon the Genroku, make it a 4 and a tuner, make your Joe Biden dragon, and then from there that just revives this, tribute this, summon this, add your Kaiman or your field spell for another saucy blind that I play in the extra deck for time, and also just for sort of fanning through the deck a bit faster. And then you can make 2 7s between the Biden and then that's an immediate Chasma. And that in and of itself, again, inherently with all the other things, like completely checks nib. So, and if you want to be super hefty with statistics, I can't remember the exact statistic, but these two plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the 9 felt really nice in 60 for normal summons. I believe the technical math is 8, but it felt kind of nice to have this as a pitch as well. So like overall, the math kind of all felt like it was good. And it
also can be revived quite simply as well with Redox and amongst the other rulers as well.
Indeed, man. I don't have to explain this card.
We love our copy of... can you please give us a translation of this one as you did this to me?
your Spanish missus told me that I didn't do a terrible job at saying this last time. So
give it a whirl.
El césped es más verde. So it's pretty... No, that was shocking. I think everyone...
It's fine, it's fine.
I didn't see it at all tonight. It was really sad. Terraforming to search, because the summoning is basically a 1-card starter in this deck. God, 60s take a long time to do a deck profile for. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, you're all
this
good.
Is why we do them the way we do it, and then a gold psych and a ravine, obviously. So
other ways to get into more 1-card starters, of course.
Yeah.
What are we looking at here?
I think this isn't going to make any surprise to anyone. These cards are silly. I think we all had this thing for the longest period of time when these cards came out, where we were like, oh, surely we side these things, right? Because they're terrible going first. But at worst, they're like a free pitch. Like, I think what finally made me realize to main deck these cards was like, in the instances where like one of these was an imperm or 3 of these were an imperm, it wasn't winning the game anyway going first. Like, my opponent chewed through it anyway, so you'd much more so have the utility to actually just kind of force plays and just feel a lot more comfortable going second. But yeah, no, these cards are pretty silly. It's also, I think everyone's run over this already, and I told this to Grayson immediately. I was under draw. This is a wing beast, so in really simplified game states, sounds silly, but these things come up in a 60. You can normally make a Typhon for 1, but secondly, it's a wind wing beast, so you can actually make Romulus with it, which is very funny. He's just a cool guy, and they're winds and waters for the Tempest as well. And then I feel like this isn't any surprise this format. Like, every time I see this card, I feel like I win. It happened to you?
Yeah, it actually just checks.
It didn't do anything in the Malice in round 1, but
I don't think you saw it.
I saw like a custom hand against you, which was like Fua with like Lancia or something, so it was a bit sacky. But this card's funny. And then the last couple of cards, the last 3 cards in the deck, I think these don't need any explanation. And then the 1 mag,
You can't go anything without the one
I
mag, mate.
can't. That's why it was the thumbnail on the YouTube channel for a long time. This is like, if I was a Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist, this would be my ace monster. I can't tell you what to say. Like in end phase, I'm going to search my Blue Eyes White Dragon. Go into the ED man.
Let's have a look. What are we looking at?
So these are like pretty standard ratios from what I'm seeing everyone do now. So there are 2 copies of these guys and then one of this. I've seen a few people making this going first. I think that's absolutely silly unless you're really, really confident in your matchup, or you play this deck with a unicorn and you look into their extra deck because an access code can out this thing. But in like a simplified game state, sounds silly to say, we versed a Goaty player in round 2. Shout out to Smos, all right? Shout out to Fish, all right?
Fish!
He's the most dedicated Goaty player I've ever seen, but I kept like, we're in this simplified game state where I had a 7 on the board and I kept threatening another 7. And he was just like, he just kept checking the second 7 because he was so frightened of like any of these guys just hitting the board again. The Chasma was like immediately like, yeah, you get locked out of the extra deck. And in our first game, I just made this thing and he was like, okay, I actually can't out that thing in this deck, which is actually quite funny. So as those Xyz, I'm playing this little funny package. This thing doesn't need any explanation, but this thing's funny, 1 for time, but also because it can't be destroyed by card effects. So like you can just go battle, hit stuff. I think, not against you, Lachlan, but in a lot of my testing online with Mitsu Raziel. Yeah, what's it called again? The Arme, the big one that just nukes the board, the Raigeki?
Yeah, the Arme. Yeah, one of the Armes.
The hand loop for 1. I've made this into a few of the Mitsu Raziel players and just like, bang. And they like start firing everything, they panic, and then you're just like, okay, main 2. Zoom, like it's
Drop a Zeus on the end of it.
Yeah, no, and it's very, very funny. A few of them actually burn a little bit in time trying to actually out the thing as well. This thing doesn't need an introduction.
Oh, the Alt F4 button, my favorite.
Yeah, the Alt F4 button. And then this is like the little engine that I choose to play in this deck.
Show off one of the rarities, mate. Some of your new goo that's been picked up.
This isn't new goo. I've got the ulti in the binder, man. I'm trying to make rarity this deck. I don't know what it is. I always love Dragon Link as well. Something about dragons, man. Like even when I lost to you earlier, I was like, oh, it was a base dragon mirror though. This is awesome, right? So I feel like this card's absolutely silly. I love, again, funny thing with the Pylarm taking make this 6k and it still hits 3 times, like for lethal through like 1 attack for the turn, which is really funny. It locks you into declaring an attack with 1 monster. So like, I think
that's a cool way around it.
I can't remember the exact wording, but you can go into Transcend Dragion and just go bang. A little bit of testing too. This card's like absolutely outrageous if you make it a main 1 under the field spell. Yeah, you get it. You've played Tempai before, and it's just like, I win. Like you immediately just like, what you gonna do, bro? But yeah, this thing's how you start bridging into other 7s. I did play a second copy initially, but it just doesn't really come up. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I would cut this for a Koi Belt, but it's really funny. Like in your line, when you add your with the Dora, you actually make this as your second 7. You pop the field spell, gain a grand for time, and then you also grab your Ravine, which is a cool way to kind of bridge into the Ravine outside of the Romulus. And then, yeah, these cards are pretty funny. And then moving on from there, wouldn't be a dragon deck without Abelware. Anyone who has a QC, I'm shout out. Right,
yeah,
okay.
TK.
The FTK immediately, like
the strongest end board.
This thing with a Chasma is the end board of this deck. That's what I'm trying to turbo into. Like I got drolled like 3 times tonight, and I still ended on Chasma Seal, and I was just like, I'm comfortable in that game. I never lost any of those games, which is really weird. Even into you, Nick, you were like, oh my god, how do you do that? Yeah, your hand was an absolute, and I think I challenged you to mad cuckery. Mad cuckery in the 60. It makes it more consistent, right?
Chassis cat goes hard.
This card too. And then
Speed.
Weirdly, last week against Grayson, I found this card actually comes up a lot to actually out your own Quacky, as silly as that sounds, and then extend further. And like I said to you, you can actually use the Fuwas to actually extend into this thing, which is quite funny. I do wish I had a slot for Dissipator. Moving forward, I'll see how I go. Could even cut Typhon for Dissipator because it just didn't really come up tonight. Typhon, the Alt F4 button, is one of those cards where it feels like when it comes up, sometimes you just hard lose unless you're playing like Blue Eyes White Dragon or some deck like that where it's really, really simplified game states already. Yeah, Charlie, shout out Charlie.
Really premium into the Raziel variant as well. Not so much the Mitsu part.
100%, yeah. To the side deck. Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, no, dude, this card, I didn't see it at all tonight. I wanted to see it against you, Nick, but I just saw Fupa Lance here, and it did the same thing. I feel like this doesn't, even in like weird matchups at locals, this thing comes up.
It's surprisingly effective. It's one of those cards that I think has kind of
like
It comes up in the rogue matchup.
it comes up into the rogue matchups.
Obscure
Absolutely.
decks you wouldn't think about. Like I remember like playing Dragon Link back in the day, and my opponent would randomly go Lancier in a format where it wasn't normal, and I was like, I lose. I'm like immediately, I'm like, yeah, no, I just auto lose. So yeah, that's all the monsters. This is the shout out to Grayson. This is shout out to Grayson. I didn't see this card at all tonight. Initially, this was Solemn Judgments. But I sort of found like, yeah, of course, Solemn Judgment's absolutely silly and it's a complete blowout card. Like I think everyone's had the experience now where you like normal a guy into a board with like Solemn Judgment, like trying to beat an established board, they solemn and you just go, like you just lose immediately and you know it. This card just like completely turns all that off and then you just kill him on the crackback with Tempai. I don't feel like I have to explain that card too much. Oh, I'm gonna bust. No, this card's crazy. I think everyone knows this card's awesome. And you have a plethora of side targets in this, like you can side out some normals, lows, and
Thrust,
cards.
thrust for grass.
And then these are my side targets. My targets for it. When I'm actually ready this, I'll whip the ulti out of the binder, man. The binder's going to be cool. This comes as an ulti as well, doesn't it?
QC, it should.
I'll get it as a QC.
Is there a QC of it?
Yeah, no, 100%. Against Grayson, I boarded this thing going second in the mirror. And I was like, surely I've got him. Because like he went Sealy, summoned out his, what was it again? Genroku?
Yeah.
Mr. Goku. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, all right, bro, I'm gonna thrust.
No, I got Padra.
Oh, you set the Sangen, yeah, but even still, like, I was like, I'm gonna thrust, I'm gonna set barriers, so I get another turn, and you judgment of me, and I went, again, that same thing, you just auto lose. But yeah, no, that's the deck.
Pretty good stuff.
This is one of those decks where, like, you know, you just pick up a deck once every now and again, you're like, yeah, I'm not putting this down, this is very funny. It just does some very wacky, silly things, plays through nib very efficiently, locks your opponent out very, very efficiently too. Maybe I just suck. What did you say? It's like the Marvel quote, you know, if you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it.
You shouldn't have it, absolutely.
Yeah, you know,
the Iron Man quote.
But what else am I doing? I'm going like Chasma, like target a guy and pop.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Seal into mag in 2025. No, it's not good enough anymore.
Well, like you said, 2 bodies into seal, and then it's a +2.
Yeah, no.
We're not
going to say that.
We're not going to say the magic. But any closing words, any final statements before we wrap up this profile?
I'm having a great time. Like we said, you know, shout out to Grayson. You know, he came to us. You know, good on him. We're doing this as a niche thing for Mr. Sony P. But no, awesome locals. Love my homies here. It's a great time. It's a really great vibe. No.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, George.
Cheers, guys.